Starting something is often the hardest part. We want to procrastinate, and maybe we start procrastinating by thinking that we just want to have it all figured out first so that we do it right, so that we do it well. But one key part that we have to do something well is to start. Hi, I'm Misty Winkler. I write and podcast at simplyconvivial.com about homemaking, homeschooling, and doing life cheerfully. My husband and I are both second generation homeschoolers, and we are homeschooling our 3 kids still at home, and sometimes we still get texts from our 2 adult sons who have started their own lives on their own. My book, The Convivial Homeschool, Gospel Encouragement for Keeping Your Sanity While Living and Learning Alongside Your Kids, is available on Amazon.com. And I like to bring you short but meaty podcast episodes to help you keep your head in the game at home. It is a good work that we are engaged in. So let's talk about actually starting that good work, whether it's starting a new project, starting a new school year, or just starting a new week or day. Getting started is a key component of getting things done at home. So today I have a clip for you from one of our weekly seminars inside my community, Convivial Circle. Convivial Circle is an accountability community that also has a dozen courses to help you manage life cheerfully. Every week we get together for a seminar, a 20-ish minute seminar on some particular topic. And the topic this time is starting as the hardest part. So let's dig in now.
Sometimes we think the problem is something else when it's really just getting started. And so baby steps is the solution. And also, that's why we do have the magnet, the Baby Step Bingo Magnet Prize, Smile and Start, because it's just getting started that is key. It's inertia. Exactly. Starting is the hardest part because of inertia. If you're not moving forward, if you're not doing anything, you're just on the couch in bed, then moving from a place of not moving, it takes extra effort. And if we don't know exactly what to do next, then that also makes it hard. And perfectionism tells us that we have to know exactly what to do and how to do it to get exactly what we want. And sometimes that just means even knowing what exactly we want. So we want to try to see the end from the beginning and know every step of the way to get to where we want to be before we get started. And that just means we're never going to get started. And the solution instead is to take the next baby step, because that the path forward actually becomes more clear as you walk it. And it's not better to try to plan out every detail and be sure things are going to work out before you get started, because the reality is things are probably not going to work out the way that we want them to, the way that we think we ought to, the way that we planned for them to work out. And so instead of trying to see every step along the way to get exactly where we want to get, we need to know that general direction, know the end goal, but not every step of the way. And also we need to be ready to course correct slightly, because the goal, we might adjust that goal as we actually move forward and as life actually unrolls and changes. We're going to make better decisions and move forward with more momentum if we get started with baby steps and course correct along the way. And partly that's iteration. That's a part of what iteration is. It's another way to overcome the inertia and to get started when starting is hard, because iteration helps us move forward with those baby steps. With iteration, we start with a baby step and then we look at what's next after we get there. And then we say, what can I do next? How can I make a smart adjustment based on my experience I just had? Because as we grow and learn and mature, even our capacities are going to change. Plus, our situations are going to change. The needs that we are working with are going to change. And so we need to get started with baby steps, even if we aren't completely sure of every step along the path. And we need to pause periodically to iterate, to adjust the goal moving forward, and to adjust how we're taking our steps based on what we're learning about ourselves and what we're doing from actually doing it. So we learn by doing. It's not just a thinking exercise. Planning and goal setting and getting that momentum worked up and motivation is not primarily a mental exercise that we have to have all this clear processing time before we can do that. Instead, we need to work from a place of just doing the things, doing what we know we ought to be doing, and we're going to make better decisions about other things going on in our lives if we're doing it from a place of momentum. And that motivation will come with momentum. What kind of areas in life are you experiencing having a hard time getting started? Mine is school planning right now. I've done a few baby steps and I need to figure out what my next baby steps are and pick one to do. I have some more decisions to make. So school planning is one. All kinds of things. Yep. There you go. Iteration has required moving furniture multiple times. Yeah, that's a great example, because say moving, you don't need to figure out what the perfect arrangement is from the very beginning, because our first few months in a house, even years in a house, we don't know the traffic patterns, the use patterns that we're actually going to have in a new place. And so you just put the furniture in an arrangement, and then you learn what your use patterns and needs are and adjust accordingly. That's a great example of iteration with stuff and a physical situation. And then it can be applied, of course, in other ways also. Meal planning. Yep. Buried in school planning. Yeah. Summer. By the time you get that iterated and figured out, it'll be over. So there's that element. It's just iterating as we go, because we can't figure it out before it starts. We're in summer. And if we don't have a perfect plan for summer, that doesn't matter, because here we are. And also identifying what you're actually going to do, because school planning or meal planning, those are actually vague projects. They're not a task. So that's another reason why you can't just baby step school planning, because it's too open-ended. It's huge. It's something that's going to take hours. And so in order to do a baby step process, you have to identify a small chunk that you're going to do. I'm going to sort the books. I'm going to clean out the bins. I'm going to write down the subjects and jot notes on what I know is already on our plates. Or I'm going to look at the weekly schedule and block off the times that are already reserved. I'm going to list out the options for morning time. Things like that, where it's a lot smaller and it's not trying to think of everything all at once. Because if you're meal planning for multiple days and multiple meals. And then there's the grocery list too. There's a lot to think about there. And if you're school planning, there are multiple subjects and multiple kids and multiple schedules going on. And you really can't you can't hold it all in your mind all at the same time. So you have to pull out one piece to get started. And if you start with one piece, then the other pieces sometimes start to fall into place. Not always. It can, though. It's more likely for those other pieces to start falling into place if you just pick one and put it in place. Brain dump, get started, and then the next step reveals itself. It's magic. And that's iteration. And that's why iteration is more helpful than trying to figure out every single step. Like, you don't need to know before you get started every single step that you're going to do to plan your homeschool year. You just do one piece that you do know and plan that. And then usually it's obvious what to do next and what to do next. And then you need to be asking yourself as you move along, is this good enough? Rather than, is this perfectly planned and plotted exactly the way I want it to go? Because you could also overplan. All right. So as you think about what are you procrastinating on? What are you having a hard time getting started? And how can you pull out just one small task that will give you progress in that big, overwhelming, big project, and just do one small thing and then be looking for what the next thing is that will make sense. And that's just smile and start. That's baby steps. That's iterating. And that's how we kind of get out of our making ourselves stuck by overthinking and getting stuck in perfectionism, getting stuck in overwhelm. All of those are really ways that make it harder to get started. And what makes it easier to get started is by breaking out simple baby steps to just make a little progress for that end goal and just get moving.
And that's it for this clip from our weekly seminar. But I wanted to point out that a key way to get started is to start small, to start with baby steps. And that's what we do inside Simplified Organization Community Coaching, a 36-week accountability program through my 3 signature courses: Organize Your Attitude, Streamline Your Homemaking, and Work Your Plan. With extra workshops, community meetups, a private chat group, checklists, and so much more, we work through all the areas of personal and home management so that we can be effective, equipped, and energetic, because we need another E word there. We can be happy homemakers doing good work. We are just about to start a new group, and once we get started, we close it down so that the group can get to know one another and stay on course together. So if you want to do community coaching as your own school year project, now is the time to enroll. You can find a link in the description, or you can go to simplyconvivial.com and click the green enroll button to get started. For 36 weeks, we will be working on repenting, rejoicing, and repeating.